Hey everybody, I hope your first 2 days went well. Day 3 in math today, we're going to talk about equivalent fractions. We'll start off with the definition. Equivalent fractions are fractions which have the same value even though they may look different. Okay, so you might ask yourself, how do they look different and still have the same value? Okay, um, you can change a fraction to an equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number without changing its value. So for example, if I had the fraction 2/3 and I wanted to come up with an equivalent fraction, you can come up with an equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by any number as long as it's the same number. Okay, so let's just start off with times 2/2. So 2/3 would be the same as 4/6. And then we'll talk more about this when we go into our reducing fractions in the simplest form video, which will be tomorrow's lesson. Okay, so for today, we're just going to talk about how we can change them into equivalent fractions. Another easy way to do it, let's say we had the fraction 6/7, okay, and you had to come up with two equivalent fractions. Well, you guys know that if you add a 0 to the end of both numbers, it doesn't change the value. It's the same as multiplying by 10. So if we multiply by 10/10, we get 60/70. And it would be the same if you add two zeros to both numbers following the base 10 system. You'd have 6/7 times 100/100, which would equal 600/700. And you guys know from dividing with base 10s that if you cross off the zeros, it doesn't change the value of the fraction. So as you see, that's one way you can make equivalent fractions. We'll do a couple more together here. Let's say we had 3/5, and we needed to come up with two equivalent fractions for 3/5. Okay, I'm just going to make it simple on myself and multiply it by 2/2 and get 6/10, right? That would be equal. And then I'll take 3/5 and multiply it by 3/3 and get 9/15, which still, when you reduce and simplify down your answer, will come back to 3/5, making it equal. Now, there's also times where you can have equivalent fractions. Let's say if we had the number or the fraction 2/4. Okay, I could take 2/4 and multiply it by 2/2 and get 4/8, which still is equivalent. Or if you have an opportunity like this where 2/4, you can divide the number you can divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number, which would be reducing it already. So if I divide by 2 and divide by 2, we end up with 1/2. Okay, so there's several ways you can do this. Basically, to sum it up, when you are making equivalent fractions, make sure as long as you are multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number, your answer is going to be an equivalent fraction. Okay? And when you get ones like this that you can reduce, then you can reduce them as well. Let's do one more that you can reduce. If we had 3/12, we can multiply by 3/3 and get 9/36. Or we could take 3/12, and since 3 is a factor of both, divide both by 3, and you end up with 1/4, which is still an equivalent fraction to 3/12. Okay? All right, guys. Good luck with today's work. I'll be on to assist you with our normal live hours.